Hello and a very warm welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special. 2018 has been a critical year for e-commerce giant Flipkart. In 2018, US giant Walmart scooped up 77% of Flipkart for $16 billion. 2018 also saw co-founders Sachin and Binny Bansal exit the company. 2018 was also a year of management reshuffle, which saw Flipkart CEO Kalyan Krishnamurthy take on the additional responsibility of Myntra and Jabong. To discuss the growth journey in 2018 as well as the outlook for 2019, I am joined by the man at the helm, Kalyan Krishnamurthy. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kalyan. 2018 has surely been an inflection year for Flipkart. It's also a year which saw the founders of Flipkart exit the company. In fact, it's just been a month since Binny's exit from Flipkart. How have things changed on ground? Has the nature of decision-making changed at Flipkart over the last month?
Actually, 2018 has been a tremendous year for Flipkart. Of course, if you just look at the business performance, we've had the best year in the last 4 to 5 years. Our growth has been accelerating. That's the short-term way to look at it. The second thing to look at is just the initiatives which we actually launched in the last 1 year. We have launched about 6 to 7 market-defining initiatives in the last year. We scaled up our grocery business. We scaled up our private label business. We launched a one-of-a-kind loyalty program. We scaled up fintech for us. We also launched furniture in a much bigger way. So a lot of these things have been happening for us. We are hoping that we can see the results of these in the next 2 to 3 years. A lot of these are long-term strategic bets we've taken. I think from Binny's point of view, Binny continues to be on the board of Flipkart. We have the benefit of taking his advice all the time. He's available for us, he mentors us, and that doesn't change at all. So to your question, no, nothing really changes from that point of view.
So the nature of decision-making still remains the same, but of course with none of the founders being around on a daily basis, what does it feel like to be the boss now?
See, it doesn't feel any different or anything like that. I think the foundation of Flipkart has actually been built on very humble grounds. It's a very, very deeply capable company. It's not built on just 1 or 2 people, so it doesn't feel any different for us here. If you just look at the average Flipkart employee here, they just put their heads down and they look for the Indian customer. That doesn't change. No, nothing really changes for us.
You know, Kalyan, as part of your new mandate, you have also Myntra and Jabong that's coming under you. And of course, there's been a lot of flux happening at Myntra and Jabong. We've seen some reshuffle happening there, some senior executives from Flipkart moving to Myntra. At this point in time, are you setting up a new management structure in the fashion business per se?
No, nothing like that is happening. Also, I think maybe you have a perception that there is a flux in the management of Myntra. There is no flux at all. Things are actually very smooth, and we have shared this before. Myntra has a very unique value proposition for the Indian customer, and we are actually going to continue building on that. There is a very strong and capable team in Myntra, and all the operating teams, all the functional teams in Myntra will report to the head of Myntra. So, no, I think they continue to execute to their strategy, and they're doing an outstanding job. So there is no plan to change anything right now.
But there has been some sort of reshuffle or repositioning of roles that has taken place at Flipkart over the last month. Has that been your brainchild? What was the kind of motive behind this kind of reshuffle?
See, it's not really a big reshuffle. In fact, what we have made sure is that we don't disturb the ship too much. Last couple of years, execution has been a very, very big positive for Flipkart, and we don't want to touch anything. A lot of people have been given bigger roles, bigger responsibilities, and that's what Flipkart is all about. It's always been about that people who've done well for us have taken bigger roles. That's all what we've done, really. And in case of Myntra also, there were a couple of positions available. We just looked for the best people in the market to do those jobs, and we filled those. So there is nothing more to read on those.
So you're saying that Anand Narayanan of Myntra is not on his way out? Is he going to still continue to lead the ship then?
As of today, Anand Narayan continues to be an employee of Myntra, and I don't want to comment on senior leaders like that in public. So yeah, as of today, where we stand, he absolutely continues to be a responsible employee of Myntra.
You know, when we last spoke, you alluded that fashion is perhaps one of your largest categories, and it is poised to become one of the largest categories going forward. Run us through what is the kind of roadmap you have for growth as far as Myntra and Jabong is concerned. Of course, you have also Flipkart Fashions that is tying into the whole fashion business. So what is the kind of growth trajectory that we can expect over the next 2 to 3 years?
Yes, I did mention this to you last time, Priya, that fashion is among the most important businesses at Flipkart. It has been in the last 2 years and it will continue to be in the next few years. What we are very lucky to have is a few platforms instead of just one platform. We have Myntra and Jabong, which are very influential with the top 10 to 15 million households of the country. Of course, it's not just a luxury platform. They have a very big mass premium business. They have a premium business. And if you just go down, if you just look at the next 50 to 80 million households, Flipkart Fashion has a very, very influential position there. And if you just go below that, the value, the eco and the rural India sector, a lot of those are still available to be addressed. We are building new platforms, new brands for that. So between multiple platforms and multiple brands, we are very confident to address the entire fashion market. It's a $70 to $80 billion industry today, the retail industry for the fashion category, and it's growing very fast. I think in the next 4 years, it's going to be more than $100 billion, and we are very happy and proud that when you look at e-commerce marketplaces, we have a disproportionate share in fashion. We will continue to invest behind fashion in all of the three brands and three platforms in the next few years.
So at this point in time, what is the kind of contribution that the fashion vertical has to your revenues? And in 2019, how large will this become for Flipkart?
See, I don't want to talk about revenues. What I'll tell you is that from a customer share point of view, more than half of all customers who come to Flipkart actually shop for something to do with lifestyle and fashion. And that number actually grows in the last 1 year, and it continues to grow in the next couple of years is what we expect. So if you just look at lifestyle categories, including clothing, footwear, accessories, home, some of the general merchandise, women-centric categories, baby and toys, all of these are accelerating growth in the last year. And the contribution to the overall customer pie just continues to increase for these sectors.
So is it safe to say that the fashion category is growing by at least 70 to 80% on a year-on-year basis?
Yes, it's growing very fast for us. It's actually growing well faster than the average of the platform itself.
Right, you know, 2018 has also been the year of Walmart. It's been the big deal, and you've been focused on building synergies between Walmart and Flipkart at this point in time. But as far as the integration plan is concerned, I understand approvals have come in from the CCI and the regulatory bodies. What is the kind of integration that is happening at this point in time?
There is absolutely no integration happening at this point in time, Priya. What I'll tell you is that the two businesses, if you just look at Walmart, if you look at Flipkart, have very unique strengths and capabilities, both market leaders in its own way. And the contribution to the customers from both of these platforms have been huge in the last several years. What we try to do is to learn from each other and apply it to our own businesses. If you look at sourcing, if you look at supply chain operations, there are several things for Flipkart to learn from Walmart, and we actually look forward to learning those and implementing those at Flipkart.
So you said that there is no integration plan. Of course, you've also mentioned, and always Flipkart has maintained, that it would like to be run independently. But of course, that's as far as the go-to-market strategy is concerned. But as far as financials are concerned, that's where Walmart comes in. Do you think that there has been some change or some guidance that's coming in from Walmart on the financials at this point in time?
No, nothing like that. Actually, Priya, in the last 2 to 3 years, the business, I would say this probably about every business that is run in a responsible way. There is a strategy, there is an operating plan, there is a financial plan. We have actually followed a similar process, and each one of these plans are actually aligned with our board. And the board has a representation of all investors. It has a representation of independent directors. We share it with the board. We get a lot of inputs from them. We get an alignment from them, and we go and execute. That has been the way we have been operating in the last several years. That has not changed in the last year as well.
Are you more careful about fund allocation, cash burn, other aspects of discounting, especially with a parent like Walmart? I mean, a larger shareholder holding about 77%, and also, of course, revenues are going to be a part of Walmart's international disclosures. So are you more careful about financials now?
we have been always extremely careful. Actually, if you just look at any e-commerce business in India or outside we have been exposed to, we are among the most responsible in financial discipline. Our financial architecture actually went through some changes about 2016, and since then the company is run in a very, very disciplined manner. So there is no need for any kind of a financial architecture change anymore. And our board is also very happy with the way we are structured from a financial architecture point of view. So there is absolutely no plan to change anything today.
Flipkart recently received a fund infusion of over about 2,000 crore rupees from the parent, and this is the first fund infusion after the deal has been completed. Top 3 areas where this is going to be invested, and what's the additional amount of investments that you need in 2019?
See, I won't talk about any specific numbers here. I'll just tell you that the biggest areas of investments for Flipkart in the past have been in technology, in operations, and a lot of work has gone towards building for new capabilities for new customer segments, more inclusion in the e-commerce pie. This is the way we look at investments. If you look at the last 4 or 5 years, and it's not going to change. Don't forget that e-commerce in India still happens in a fairly small and narrow segment. There is potentially 100+ million customers in India who have been exposed to product e-commerce. I think that pie has to grow. A lot of categories have not been built in the country. That has to grow. So through technology, through operations, through supply chain, through a lot of innovation, we continue to build those. So that's the plan, and that's where most of our investments will go in the next few years.
Talk to us about the kind of time frame for the IPO. I do understand that now that things are more or less settled with Walmart coming in, is there a time frame that you're working with for the IPO?
As of today, no. There is no. That's not top of mind for us right now. As I said, there is just so much of customer value to be unlocked in the market. That's what we are focused on. Planning for an IPO right now is not the top focus areas for me.
Would 3 to 5 years be a reasonable time frame to take for an IPO?
As I said, there is just so much to do here, Priya. Just from building the business, building new customer segments, building new categories, that's not something which is top of mind for me.
You know, a lot has been happening in the offline and online space, in the Omnichannel space, and I do understand that a competitor of yours, that is Amazon, has also been aggressively investing in this space. Talk to us about the kind of outreach and the kind of growth trajectory that you expect. Will Flipkart be more aggressive in 2019?
See, we don't look at our competition for anything, so I don't want to talk about that. But what I'll tell you is that we will be opportunistic when it comes to partnerships. And of course we have to make sure that we are fully compliant with the law of the land. So in Omnichannel, we will absolutely go towards partnerships as long as we are compliant. Omnichannel lends itself more favorable to certain categories, certain business segments, certain customer segments. In those, we will actually extend our hand to partners, and we do hope in 2019 we can actually pilot some of those. So that's the plan. We don't plan to suddenly change our strategy because someone in the market is doing something. That's not the way we have operated in the last several years. If you look at any kind of a metric, if you look at customer metrics, if you look at metrics related to innovation, the pipeline of products which we roll out in the market, any of those metrics, if you look at, I don't think there is anybody in the market doing that. It's entirely Flipkart's responsibility to roll these out in the market, and that's what we are focused on. So competition is no longer and the next competitor is quite big.
So competition is no longer a concern for you then?
It has not been, Priya, for the last couple of years. We have actually not been driven by competition for anything we've done. You can actually analyze our business, see what initiatives we've launched, and just look at what we've done. We've launched a platform called Too Good. Have you seen this in the market somewhere else? If you just look at the way we are building our loyalty program, have you seen that happen in the market? Have you seen people building the furniture business in the country today the way Flipkart is building it? I can go on and on. The way even we are looking at grocery, if you just look at the way the app is structured, the way we operate in grocery, it's not what the market is operating on. So you're absolutely right. anything we've been doing is driven by customers. We live by that. We live by customer data, customer insights, customer intuition. So you're absolutely right. We don't look at competition for anything today.
You know, Flipkart had set a target to achieve about $18 billion in terms of GMV by 2020, and I understand that March 2018 you'll ended with about $7.5 or $8 billion. Are you on track to achieve that kind of GMV figure at this point?
See, I don't know where you're getting any of these numbers from. I won't be able to comment on those. As I said, I'm not familiar with any of the numbers you spoke about, be it the first number or the second number. So I don't want to comment on that right now.
You know, let's talk about grocery, and that's expected to be a big segment going forward in the online space as well. And I do understand that you all have been piloting grocery in many of the cities. At this point in time, how does 2019 look for you in terms of grocery, in terms of expansion, and in terms of the kind of revenue contribution grocery could bring to the front?
See, we are not in many cities. Just to correct you a little bit, Priya, we are actually only in 4 cities today. We will probably get into the 5th city in the next few weeks. After that, we are actually... See, let me just step back a little bit. In case of grocery, there is a massive customer demand. There is a massive market which has not been served. Also, don't forget that 65 to 70% of the customers' basket in India today is grocery. What we are doing is we are solving for the right journey nodes there. We are solving for the right value propositions, and we are also enabling the category for long-term success. We are doing this step by step. Once we are able to do this in the big 5 cities, probably in the next couple of quarters, we will definitely go into more cities. We'll expand into more cities. We are taking a slightly slower approach in case of grocery. Once we get into the 5 cities, we want to make sure we go deep into these, and then we'll go more another 4 or 5 cities, and then another 4 or 5 cities. So it's a $350–400 billion category in India, groceries itself. So even the top 5, 6 cities is probably 5, 6, 7% of the market, which runs into several billion. So yeah, so there is a huge scope in this, and we are very bullish on grocery in the long term.
You know, Flipkart has also been exploring new categories, as you alluded to earlier, and I understand that video content is one category that you may perhaps look at entering into. So will you be looking at entering into the space through a partnership with perhaps a Hotstar, or how would you look at a foray into the space, and how soon?
Yeah, see, we are not driven by a particular partner. What we are driven by is what the customer wants. Based on what the customer wants and based on whatever content is available in the market, we will explore partnerships. So yes, you're right, we will look at partnerships. We want to offer that in some way to our customers. Through partnerships, we are not necessarily tied up to one partner or anything like that. We are always driven by what the customer wants, and we'll actually look at what is there in the market and try to serve the customer what they're looking for.
Just a final question. What does 2019 look like for you? Top 3 areas of focus for Walmart's Flipkart in 2019.
See, as I said, it's not top 3. I'll tell you how we think about this. E-commerce today happens in a very small segment. As I said before, we want to expand that base. We want to get the top 100 million households of the country who are already doing some kind of product e-commerce to increase their frequency. And then we want to actually seed e-commerce to the next 100, next 200 million. Number 2, as I was mentioning, in the last year, 2018, we have seeded several multi-billion dollar initiatives. Each one of those are huge industries on their own. We seeded them almost to a version 1. We want to actually scale them, get a lot more customer adoption. You took the example of groceries. Then there is furniture, there is fintech, there is private labels, there is Too Good as a platform. Several of those we want to continue scaling in the next year. Also, Myntra and Jabong. When we just look at the fashion-forward market in India today, we believe we can seriously accelerate the growth for Myntra and Jabong and capture a much bigger market there, and offer the value proposition of Myntra and Jabong, which is very unique to a much bigger customer base. So yeah, it's going to be a busy year for us in 2019.
All right, the takeaway that I have is that 2019 is going to be a busy year for Flipkart under the new boss, Kalyan Krishnamurthy. Many thanks for joining us today. It's really been a pleasure speaking to you as always.
Thanks, Priya. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
With that, it's a wrap on this very special show. Thank you so much for watching.